The BRICS is certainly more relevant now as far as the Middle East is concerned, because when they met for their big summit in Johannesburg back in August, they invited the Saudis, the Emiratis and Egypt to join the group. So that means that the BRICS now has more exposure to the Middle East. That part is useful. It's also good that they've invited the UN Secretary General to participate today because, of course, most of the action to resolve the issue in Gaza is coming from the UN and the UN Security Council, the UN agencies. So it's very important that that agency be involved as well. Certainly the BRICS is the type of grouping that can put pressure on Israel to agree to a ceasefire, to agree to let more humanitarian aid in. But many other organizations, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, are doing exactly the same. So the question is apart from pressure, what more value does the BRICS bring to this particular affair? For instance, will its development bank, which is going to be set up, provide more money for that humanitarian aid or the reconstruction of Gaza? One final point very briefly, Jamie, is one problem, however, is the BRICS is chaired by South Africa. And South Africa has recently accused Israel of genocide. It wants the International Criminal Court to indict it for war crimes. The Israelis have sent their ambassador home from Pretoria. So the fact that South Africa is on one extreme of this argument will mean that the BRICS won't get very much attention in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem.
And the significance of China's President Xi Jinping's words?
Well, I think it is significant because, yes, China has long been a supporter of the Palestinian cause. That's not surprising. And yesterday, Beijing did host the new Arab Contact Group, which has recently been formed, of foreign ministers in Beijing. And it was significant, Jamie, that the first visit to a UN permanent member made by this Arab Contact Group was not to Washington or Paris or London, but to Beijing. And it does show, I think, that people are looking to China to play an increasingly important diplomatic role in all of this. I think President Xi has been quite middle of the road in the sense that he's calling for what many others are calling for, a pause, a ceasefire, the release of hostages, more humanitarian aid. But usefully, he's also indicated that Beijing will contribute some money itself to that humanitarian aid. But I think in the long run, people will wait and see to what degree Chinese diplomacy can go beyond the humanitarian crisis management towards pushing for a two-state solution, stopping Iran, for example, from entering the conflict, the future of Gaza, those more long-term challenges. Will China still be influential there as it's trying to be in the immediate humanitarian crisis now?
Hamas says Gaza hostage talks are progressing. Realistically, how hopeful are you?
Well, the fact that so many people are making positive noises, whether it be Washington, whether it be the Qataris who are doing a lot of the mediating, or even the leader of Hamas speaking just earlier this morning, who is based in Doha, the fact that we're hearing these positive noises is encouraging. The Israelis, however, have been a lot more circumspect, so we wait to see to what extent any deal in the works will be acceptable to them. They're not, by all accounts, going to get all of the hostages back, mainly 50 women and children. That is certainly a very positive step. But how many days of truce or ceasefire, how long a humanitarian pause will Israel give in return? Will it expect more hostages to be released as part of the deal? We won't be there until those hostages are actually over the border and returned home. So it looks positive, but these things can go wrong at the final moment, very frustratingly, and so all we can do is watch and wait and see. The other thing, Jamie, though, more importantly, is if this deal is reached, which will be the first sort of agreement between Israel and Hamas since the tragic events of October the 7th, can both sides in the international community build on that to have further truces and humanitarian pauses and to come to some kind of end of this current humanitarian catastrophe taking place in Gaza?
Jamie, thank you for that. Jamie Shea, Senior Fellow at the think tank Friends of Europe.